Like, what would happen if we could value the future earnings of musicians somehow, and then make that investable to people up front? What's already happening in the Wall Street world and other areas. And that intrigued me. I'm like, there's something really powerful here. It seemed challenging and quite daunting, to be honest, to try to value an entire artist career, especially on the early stage. How much will they make? Are they going to stick it out? Are they going to quit? What's going to happen? And try to somehow project that forward and make that a good investment where the artist feels great about it, right? So what we ended up doing is is focusing on songs specifically. It's like, okay, what happens if we can make songs investable to the average fan? So artists have full control over their careers, and they can, they're not just giving up their entire futures into the next 5 records, but they're able to make a sustainable living right now.
Hey, welcome back to the NFT project. You got your boys Jai and Brock here, and we're with a very special guest, Mark Miller. How's it going, Mark?
Oh, well, thanks. Good to be with you guys.
We invited you on the podcast here today because you have a very interesting project, LabelCoin. You've labeled LabelCoin as the Robin Hood of music. Do you want to go on a little bit about yourself, a little bit about the project? Tell us how you got into the space, and then what spurred you to hop into Web3 and create such an interesting project.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Brock. I mean, it's been a journey, to be honest. I've been in the music industry almost 20 years now. And so I started as an independent artist coming out of college, had no idea what I'm doing, playing small venues, house shows, trying to scrape by and make a living. I worked part-time at a recording studio, and so it just kind of kept trying to find my way for, 5 years. And then I met my wife, and on our honeymoon in 2010, she told me she wanted to quit her job and join me in music full-time. And so I said, okay, that's awesome. A, and B, we
match made in heaven.
A business plan. Yeah. But all of a sudden we had to figure out how to make more money, right?
Yeah.
The typical indie artist plight. And so we, luckily she's great at business, and we discovered kind of the college world in the United States, and we're able to build up our career to where, by the end of us touring together for 5 years, we were making $120,000 a year, and we're like, hey, this is working. We're finally doing it, able to save money, buy a house in Nashville. This is great. And then had our second child, decided to get off the road and help other people who were way more talented than us, learn from our mistakes and the things that we encountered and discovered, and try to help them be able to take our ceiling, and make that their floor. And so we started an artist agency. And but what was crazy about all that though is even when we made $120,000 from shows, 40,000 of that's expenses. So then you subtract that, really we're netting $80,000, and then you split that between my wife and I, who are both working full time at this. We're basically making $40,000 a year 10 years into our career, and we're literally in the top 2% of our industry. And so what shocked me once I started working with all these artists that were on American Idol or The Voice, or, having hundreds of thousands or even millions of followers or listeners, to see how many of them had the same challenges that we did, and that we were actually out earning most of them. At that point, a lot of them were working second, third jobs, and we're like, man, this is just silly. So I've been trying to figure out how do we help change this? People should be able to make a living by working hard at creating the stuff that we all listen to every day and value so much. And so, fast forward, we've always been trying to work with artists, mentor artists, and 2020 happens. I know that in Australia, you're intimately familiar with that. And but my co-founder came from Wall Street, and they had something in 2008 that of course rocked the world with the Wall Street crash, and tons of people lost their entire livelihoods. And he was definitely one of them, and a lot of his colleagues. So he started a nonprofit to help people get back up on their feet who had their lives devastated. Fast forward, he ends up in Nashville, and he's there during COVID. And he sees the music industry, go through the same thing. He sees all the tours get canceled. He sees tens of thousands of people in the industry lose all their income, for an undetermined amount of period of time. And so he's like, man, I got to do something. So he's like, well, I don't know much about music, but I can start a nonprofit. So he did that, raised a bunch of money, helped a lot of musicians. And that's how we got connected, was actually through that. Someone said, hey, Mark can help you learn how to help musicians, here in Nashville, and could be a part of that. So In that period of time, then as we got to know each other more, he shared this idea he had of securitizing music. Like, what would happen if we could value the future earnings of musicians somehow, and then make that investable to people up front? What's already happening in the Wall Street world and other areas. And that intrigued me. I'm like, there's something really powerful here. Like it seemed challenging and quite daunting, to be honest, to try to value an entire artist career, especially on the early stage. How much will they make? Are they going to stick it out? Are they going to quit? What's going to happen? And try to somehow project that forward and make that a good investment where the artist feels great about it, right? So what we ended up doing is is focusing on songs specifically. And say, okay, what happens if we can make songs investable to the average fan? Yeah. So artists have full control over their careers, and they can, they're not just giving up their entire futures into the next 5 records, but they're able to make a sustainable living right now. And that's where it all began. So it was over a year ago, last summer.
Into it now. Congratulations. It's already 12 months in this space. Is definitely like a decade, we say. So you've already lasted 10 years. Your business has aged well. I just sort of to go back over your story, how I know you mentioned your partner briefly there. How difficult was it as you said, you were both artists coming up, trying to raise a family at the same time, and through that struggle, did it help you connect a lot with, as you said, the story that you're trying to tell with artists trying to make a living and move forward in their lives and as you said, raise that bar for them of the value? Like, did that help you paint that mental picture already for yourself to then go, okay, I really need to make a difference?
Oh yeah, 100%. And it gives us really intimate perspective. Both as being those artists for so long, and then moving that into working with tons and tons of artists in different capacities. One signed to our agency, our booking agency, and then working people on the production side, working with people and just the mentoring around Nashville. And when we came at it from the beginning, we're like, hey, if we're going to do this thing, if it's going to work, it has to look after the perspective and make sense for 3 main groups of people. It's got to, for the artist, for the fan, and for the music industry as a whole. We really have to. We're not trying to take anyone down. We're trying as much as possible. Okay, how does this benefit each of these groups of people, and build something that's structured around that. So it's been crucial, I would say. And otherwise, it's easy to miss and be like, wait, if you do this, then this person over here is totally out. And be able to cover everyone, that perspective. For artists, what do we need? We are able to stick it out long enough to make a living, but most people have a hard time being able to lose money for 5 years or 6 or 7, and trying to get home at 7 p.m. after their day job and still create something meaningful and try to find a way to get out on the road and tour for the weekend or whatever that is. And it's just exhausting. So being able to understand, okay, what is that life like? So what would happen if we can sacrifice a little bit of what we would earn in the future by earning that now? And engage fans in a new, meaningful way too, because fans now they've got donor fatigue from getting asked for how many Kickstarters to do, or Indiegogos, or tip jars, or come out to this show. Hey guys, we need support. And people are just tired. There's so many things to give to you, right? And so it's a totally different narrative when you get to say, oh, instead of just please give me money, it's like, hey, you can actually invest in my song. And how much more likely are you to put $20 into an artist? You're like, man, they're great. Or into one of their songs, and they're at a show and they're like, hey, if you like that song that you just heard me play, you can own part of it. Here's the QR code, and all of a sudden they're able to earn in a new way and have a new experience that's actually exciting, and not just feeling like, oh, fine, here's my $20. So
yeah, exactly. So what let's talk a little bit about LabelCoin and how it works then. Like, what's the exact mechanism of the company? What are you guys trying to do, and how can people, fans or artists themselves get involved, with what you guys are doing over there?
Yeah, absolutely. So we call it the Robinhood for music because it's really, we're trying to build a song exchange, like a stock exchange for songs, and make it easy. Right now there's a lot of interesting things that have been done with music NFTs. Some really positive, some questionable, in my mind. But one thing that's unifying about them all is it's very hard to engage it without some level of Web3 knowledge, whether that's how to get a MetaMask, or how to be able to resell it on OpenSea or Magic Eden or whatever you want it to do it. And so there's a level of knowledge that keeps a lot of people out, right? And even for the artists, and there's also a level of knowledge of actually reaching those people, because for the most part, the people buying music NFTs aren't your normal fans. They aren't the people that you're playing to every day. They're people you're trying to reach through Twitter Spaces and different strategies and things. And so it's another thing that takes time, just like Kickstarter does. I don't know about you guys, but I did a Kickstarter where I had to make 60 ceramic mugs and a whole bunch of handwritten lyrics. It was a terrible choice, but that was what I did for a summer. And it's stuff outside of the norm of being an artist. And so what we're trying to do is create this platform where artists can just be artists, fans can just be fans. It makes it very simple and easy. So by building that app, like what Robinhood has, people don't have to know how to use Web3. They don't have to know how to download a wallet. Everything's done within the app, reselling your song shares. And so what happens is, backing it up then, the artists, we help them value their catalogs, and we give song estimates based upon a whole lot of data and what's happening in the industry standards. And then also what's going on from not just, projecting this out over 10 years worth of revenue, but going back to what's the history of your songs or your touring history. What do you have coming up? What are the other projects you've worked on? All the things that could possibly be factors into how successful the song's going to be, and even the number of followers that you have. But then, so that's just a projection though. The artist then chooses, okay, I'm willing to sell my song at this price. I'll sell up to 50%. We cap it there. So I can sell up to 50% of specifically my digital streaming royalties. So what's coming in from Spotify, from YouTube, Apple Music, from these places that's collected by distributors. And so they get to choose, this is what I'm selling it at. And then the fan, they're going to see a few different numbers. They'll see our estimate. They'll see the price of the song shares, which we call notes. And then they're also going to see how many spins or how many plays would this take on Spotify, for example, for me to make a 10% return every year from royalties, or whatever my return is I'm trying to get. So they can make a more realistic guess and say, yeah, I think the song can hit 100,000 streams or 1 million streams, or kind of help them have healthy expectations. And so what happens is we then time with the distributor. So if the artist says, I want to sell 50% of the digital streaming royalties of this song A, then we get a 50% split from the distributor. So now when that money comes in from the DSPs, from Spotify and the like, 50% of that automatically comes to us that we distribute to the song holders. And then the artist still gets the remaining unsold. And then we're also giving the artist a piece of every transaction fee that happens on top of that in perpetuity. So it's not just a one-time sale. They'll continue to earn, all throughout.
It's really cool. It's kind of a lot more in depth than I had imagined, looking from the outside in and not, having experienced the platform yet. I really like the idea. Seems super solid. And how's it going with the initial uptake with the artists over this first year?
Thank you. It's been extremely positive. And to your point, yeah, we spent a lot of time. There's much in the back end figuring out all those different, trying to find every red flag, everything that could go wrong or that's an issue. Like, hey, how do we protect that?
Yeah, it's like, as you said, you're trying to take as much out of the artist, let the artist be the artist. Mm-hmm. In a sense. So it's like if you, the more you can create a platform, and it's like, you can't go a week without being on social media and having an artist complain about having to market, having to, create content, having to do all these things that they feel aren't the artist's journey in a sense, or aren't, don't resonate with that. And the more you can take away, the more people are going to uptake the idea, because it just gives them an outlet where they can invest into their music more so than anything else.
I'm really excited to hear about that, that analysis you guys do about, the revenue that a track or a song will generate over the time. Is this something that you guys offer to anyone who's, using your platform, or is this something, that you have to pay extra for? Because that in itself is a really handy tool that I haven't really seen anywhere. Like, I don't really know where you go. There's articles that say, oh yeah, roughly 1,000 streams gives you this many dollars, paid out. But to be able to look at, previous tracks you've done and things like that and really analyze it, is that something that, is offered to any artist? And how does that work, when you sign up to the platform? Because that sounds like in itself a handy tool.
Yeah, thank you. It is available to every artist, and that's how it's meant to be, because it's essential to basically pricing your song well.
Yeah.
and also the people being able to see what that's worth. And so it still is like kind of a fantasy football number, right? Like
Yeah.
yeah, you know, yeah, but it helps to give, you know, the more accurate we can make that, the better for sure. And we hope that it'll help cause more consistency. You know, that's what a lot of people struggle with too. It's like, okay, this song hit 10 million streams. Why is this one only getting 500,000?
Yeah.
Or you can take that down. If you're, you know, a newer artist, like, man, this song blew up. I got to add it to the playlist. It's 100,000 streams. This one's struggling to hit 1,000. What's going on? And how do we create that consistency? And that's some of what was a lot of the artists, you know, to what Brock, back to your question, what they've been excited about too is that they're seeing the potential of consistency in their income. And also for fans to be able to pick up those new songs, and so songs don't get left behind so easily. Because you know, for example, you know, there's an artist on our roster that's an indie artist completely, but got 750 million streams, right? Got a lot of,
Wolf.
Crushed it,
Yeah.
right?
That's awesome. That's amazing.
But they have some songs that'll do super well, some that won't, and they're just like, man, sometimes I have huge checks, sometimes my checks are way down here, and they could easily value their songs at, you know, easily $250,000, you know, for each of those. And so if they sell 10% of that, like 5 songs a year, that's $125,000 as a base income for them that they can just count on as salary. That's like, hey, I've got
it's
got
like
this consistently coming in.
Yeah.
And also with creating more consistency with the streams and artists. And
it's volume, like I don't have rent this week, but I just had 750 million streams on Spotify.
and way too many artists can relate to that.
And then also, like, when is that money coming in as well? You're like, I have no idea when that's going to be paid to me. Like, you know, it's a total thing. But I think as well, the cool thing is that as you guys continue to do this and get more data and look at more artists and songs, you're only going to get better at predicting those pricings and what the standard is within the market. So I think that's really exciting for me, because that's solving a problem we have at the moment. We don't know what a music NFT is worth. Should it be worth $2, like, you know, like iTunes and that used to be, or should it be worth $1,000, you know, depending on what we're giving to it. So I think that's really interesting, and I'm excited to sort of follow along with how that tracks for you guys, because that's, like I said, really cool feature there. So
to kind of continue what you're saying there, Jai, as well, is like, we recently bought 2 tracks off Royal. I think Diplo and Chainsmokers track off a Royal, like 2 different Royal drops, and it was the same. I was watching the prices go up, and I'm like, I just don't feel like the value is there. It's like maybe long term, you know, 10, 15, 20 years, you can see that return, but I just can't see that extended value. And then sure enough, once the first, because Royal just did, I think it was like a month ago now, or even 15, 20 days ago, they just paid out the first lot of royalties to the first lot of tracks on the platform. And then you could see the whole market dynamic change, because everyone was like, oh, okay.
It's not that much,
This is the money that we're actually getting. Okay, cool. Okay, this is, and then you could see that the market kind of sit back down to where it should be. So, you know, the more data is, like, you know, people have more protocols and projects like yourselves out there that can create the data, so not only the consumer but the artist can understand a lot more, because I think that's a big problem as well. It's something we get asked a lot about, is like, what should I price my NFTs at? It's like, well, what do you think your fans will pay? That's really the simple question. But a good place to start, though, is what is the market willing to pay? So I think that'll be great to see that, you know, over time.
Yeah, and for sure, I think creating good. I mean, definitely nailed on the. That's the expectation side, right? Like, that's what we're seeing with some of the models being done right now. Is that what you're getting back from royalties and not alone, and most of those models out there doesn't support the price. People are trying to sell, you know, 2-3% of their song and get tons of money for it. And it's like, okay, then there's got to be some kind of other utility or scarcity that you're just like, you know, it's still kind of some cool factor to it. But like, as far as just a sheer investment on value alone from what it's bringing in and revenue, it doesn't match up. So we wanted to try to create something that's more accurate in that sense. But Jai, to your point too, like, you know, like we're focused on definitely on kind of that marriage of what's happening in Web 2 and that bridge, and how do we help use what's happening in the Web 3 technology to monetize and to build what's happening in Web 2. I think there's exciting things happening though. in other spots of music NFTs, like even how people are doing the sales and the streaming, and specifically we can stream those music NFTs or different kind of avenues. It'll be interesting to see where that market continues to go over the next 10 years, as it develops and can become more mainstream, like and how it adapts with what's currently happening too. So we're kind of in that spot of Web 2.5, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you're a good little marriage.
Yeah.
So like you're trying to allow the consumer to not feel the presence of the blockchain in a sense, but also just still crossover so the Web3 artists can feel safe on your platform.
But I think that's really important as well, that you're sort of educating the fans and stuff on the value of what these royalties will pay out, or what streaming royalties are, because artists all know and artists complain about it all the time, but I don't know how much of the general public really know how little the royalties are. Like, we all talk about it and show them, but they don't really get what they are. So it's kind of like you guys are level setting the expectation for them to say, hey, this is actually what you would probably get as a return. So that's in turn educating the whole space of artists in Web 2 and Web 3, which hopefully will just drive more people towards music NFTs and actually putting an actual value on music again. So I'm excited about that. But I also want to know, because we've talked about how it's a little bit the app, it almost doesn't look like you're on the blockchain. So first of all, like, what chain is it running on, like, behind everything? And how are you guys sort of obscuring that blockchain? Do people need to create a wallet? Do they have to pay in crypto? How does this stuff work?
Yeah, a great question. So we're about 6 months out from release now. So we've been talking with 4 different blockchains, and we're about to make that decision. All of them we feel really great about. So it's just it's figuring out which one is best for the ecosystem and the partnership. But the 4 that we're sharing, I don't know if I've shared this publicly before, but the 4 that we're talking to right now are Near Protocol, Hedera, Flow from Dapper Labs, and Radix. Those have been kind of the 4 in the running. Awesome. But and we feel like they're all 4 solid projects, solid teams that we can build great on. It's just a matter of what's the right partnership. And but as far as what's happening is we'll actually have a LabelCoin wallet within the app itself, so that people won't have to download a separate wallet. They can pay with fiat currency from their bank account, and from their credit card, or with with crypto as well. And so we actually this is a really important point too, especially for America, and it kind of ends up working throughout the rest of the world. But all of our songs are registered securities with the SEC through a regulation here called Reg A+. And so, from the beginning, we're talking about people's livelihoods and their long-term revenue and the earnings that they're giving up. So this needs to be secure, and we need to make sure it's going to be around here for 10 years, 20, 30 from now, and not just up for a year, slapped down by the SEC at a whim, and boom, here we are. So every song is a registered security, and we work with a broker-dealer and banking services, basically, to be the custodian of those funds. So.
That's cool. Awesome, because there's that was going to be one of my questions as we sort of went on, is the whole securities thing. But you guys are doing it the right way, I guess, the above board legal sort of way, and doing it through the proper channels, which is awesome.
What's the onboarding process? So like right now, if I was just an independent artist to come and apply to be on the platform come launch day.
Yeah, well, we have kind of from what's happening right now versus when we actually go live, there's a couple different things. So we actually are onboarding some people right now that are coming into the early stage, and they're helping us test features and be involved with the project and getting early access. And so they'll also be the people that we put marketing dollars behind to help their songs be successful from the start too. So people can sign up for that now at labelcoin.io/artists. And basically they're just committing to say that, hey, if this platform ends up being everything I want it to be on launch day, then I will be releasing songs on it. But it's not like a legally binding thing. Just like, hey, I want to use this platform. And so
expression of interest, a sign up,
exactly,
pre-registering, that kind of stuff.
Cool. Yeah. So we've got a lot of great interest already, and a lot of great artists that have signed up to that and are stoked, which is awesome. But more, please go ahead and sign up there. It's great. But on launch day, what it will be basically is you have to go through our terms of service, agree to that. You have to, validate your identification and that you actually do, in fact, own these rights and these songs, that they are your songs. And we have to be able to match up identities to make sure everyone's protected there. But otherwise, it's a pretty simple process. Then we just tie in with your distributor. And so it has to be right now, it has to be a distributor that has splits enabled. If they're not one that does currently, then that's just something that we're working on, trying to bring on as many distributors as possible. But we have a lot of the main ones.
Is DistroKid one of them?
DistroKid is one of them that we know we can do. So yep.
We just had an episode we released today about them and their previous projects. So some interesting conversation around that. So.
I did see that actually. Yeah, I mean that's. I personally, I respect Philip a lot and the team over at DistroKid and what they've done. I think a lot of people went kind of quick and early on NFTs, and that left some different issues with people not really knowing what they're getting into and what they're selling to people and other aspects. So
I think a lot of the early issues were just that, and speaking, not speaking to DistroKid, but speaking to DistroKid is like, you realize that you don't have the team in place to take care of. You're like, oh, hang on, this is a whole nother business. What are we doing? We're losing focus of our core business. Okay, let's just not do that. And you could see that happen over like the last 12 months. Has been a big.
Lots of brands and businesses.
Lots of brands
and
doing
projects. That. Yeah, they don't realize how much
let's do NFTs.
Involved.
Oh shit! Like even we purchased. And this is like totally nothing to do with music. We have the Adidas NFT, and they are the same. They've probably got only 3 or 4 people looking after a 20,000 unit NFT project, and you can just tell by the Discord it is just mayhem in there because 3 or 4 people can't look after that many customers all at once that are just looking to get what they feel they deserve out of the project. So yeah, we're a bit hard on them, but it's out of love and respect.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I don't know much about the inner workings of the team there that worked on that project or who their partners were, so I can't really speak to that. But but that we do see, that's kind of a frequent story.
I still love DistroKid. I still use them all the time. I got to upload some music to them next week, so hopefully they don't blacklist my account.
That's great. Yeah, they've done well. It's a great service to a lot of people. I think almost 50% of the songs right now on average are uploaded through DistroKid.
Yeah, so much they're killing it.
Yeah, there's a reason why. So
yeah, definitely. So you guys aren't actually doing any of the distribution, which is like awesome because that's a huge task in itself. But working with all these other distributors, so that's awesome. To be able to collect that royalty from any platform. What are you guys thinking in terms of like when this stuff will be paid out? Because you're still going to be constrained by the collection of the music from the distributors and stuff like that. So it's obviously only going to be per quarter or something like that. How do you guys plan to do that? Will there be a structured way around, like, they're paid out mid-year or every few months or something? Have you guys thought that far into that kind of a thing, or is this something that you'll figure out as it sort of rolls out?
Yeah, I think we're still figuring out some of the logistics in that, and I'm sure we'll continually adapt to whatever's the best experience for everybody. But our plan right now is basically when it comes in, it goes out, and so and all those transactions are done on the blockchain. We put that on there so people will be able to see exactly also the breakdown from those royalties. Okay, this is how much money from this song we got this month from from Spotify, from YouTube, from all we get those reports every whenever those come in, and so we're able to aggregate those and then be able to break that down. So if people want to drill into that data and be able to see it, they can. And so just to create more transparency, but also that builds trust and let people, but it also just goes back to those expectations and education. So.
Yeah. It's so amazing. I think as the Web3 space grows, I think that's the biggest word that will continue to ring true is the word transparency. It's like we're finally in a space where it's not like we expect it now, but we don't actually fight for it. But it'll just be something that will become natural and something that we don't have to really look or search out anymore. It'll be like, oh, okay, I can just see the data anytime that I want, which is, for an artist or even a manager really is amazing, because you know, not having to look around too hard for anything and understand. And then also let's just say you're a manager of an artist that's similar to an artist that's on your platform. You can be on there and go, oh, what are they doing? Like, how's their songs tracking? What kind of streams, what kind of value are they seeing? So it can help the fledgling artist, the fledgling manager also grow into a space and understand the economics behind it a lot better.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Have you guys considered or like thought about, or maybe something you want to look into in the future, looking into like sync licensing and commercial type licensing for this? Because that's another opportunity where, you know, you could be paying out good money, because there's good money in sync and in commercial, you know, licensing. I mean, to be honest, that's probably where there's more money. As someone making music, a lot of people I know who do that make a lot of money compared to artists who are just releasing for fans and things. So is that a market that you guys maybe in the future are looking to tap into, or is that something you might leave to a separate project or product to do? Like, what are you guys thinking there?
We're definitely working actively to tap into those spaces, and we want to give artists basically the freedom, or basically whoever holds the rights to the songs, the freedom to be able to choose which rights they want to sell, and make that very clear to the fans and the artists. Hey, these are the rights that you're buying. This is, so they know too, okay, I'm not getting paid when this, gets synced on this massive Marvel movie. I am getting paid whenever I listen to it on Spotify. So we are working on the sync on the publishing side with the composition as well. The key is we have to make sure that we can tie into where the money flows. We never want to be in a position where we have to invoice an artist to pay an investor. And so that's the key, is how do we do that consistently right now? And there's so many different pieces. So right now with the streaming royalties, that's easy. The distributors are collecting. We don't have to be going down, hammering down doors and say, hey, give us the money so we can pay everybody, please. They're doing that. So it'd probably be, at least initially, more limited, because we'd have to be able to make sure, be probably with individual publishers or the sync libraries, and trying to make those different agreements so that we can partner with them and say, okay, this one's onboarding now. I think probably the next most likely one to come on board would be the publishing side, because we can tie in there with the PROs and just get, hey, if you want to sell 20% of your publishing, okay, then LabelCoin basically becomes 20% publisher. We can get those splits and still pay out the song holders. We also want to work on more partnerships with international collectors. A lot of artists aren't getting the money they're owed because they have no idea. They think that they're getting paid for every time their song plays in Brazil, but it's like, well, are you actually talking to the PRO in Brazil? If not, then you're probably not getting paid.
I think I saw something on MBW, like Music Business Worldwide, the other day. It was like $423 million was collected by the majors of uncollected money that just artists that didn't know, or it was unspecified, or that. And that's as an artist, not many artists understand that. It's like, if you don't collect your royalties, after a time it just goes to the majors, so it can be recirculated back through. But it doesn't get recirculated back through. They keep it for themselves as a profit. So.
And in Australia, there's actually like multiple bodies. You've got APRA, AMCOS, and then you've got PCOS and
Australia's
stuff.
a mess.
You've got you've got one that collects mechanical sales and streams, and then one that collects, publishing.
And if you don't register with them,
if you don't register with them, you don't get it. So it's like, it's wild.
Yeah, and it's so different all over the world, right? And so you have to get those individually, and it's just even in the U.S. The PROs are collecting money from venues for the rights to basically a blanket license of whatever's getting played there, and they're paying out based on what's reported. And the venues in most cases aren't reporting unless it's major shows, and so artists don't even know that, hey, I should be reporting my sets, and you can actually make a lot more money just by simply uploading your sets. to the PRO, and so let them know, hey, by the way, I played this song.
I played all of my songs, every original song I have in every set that I played over the whole weekend.
It's kind of a broken system, right? So I think in 10 years, it's going to be clear. I think that the black box money will go away because we'll be able to have systems that are in place with transparency. Yeah. I think also even just with AI right now, there's no reason why we couldn't be able to listen to concerts live and be able to say this is this song. The tech's already basically there. So I think that's where it's going to be heading. And we're going to get a lot more fair compensation.
To have the technology to put something inside a venue that just listens at a core.
People used to get paid to do that. Yeah. Literally, it's their job to listen to the radio station and say what got played, and actually, it's like which is bizarre. But
Pioneer just needs to integrate it into their CDJs.
Yeah.
These are the tracks that play.
Working on it.
The track list gets sent to them. But
yeah, hear that Pioneer? Go for it.
It's so stupid that you're filling out, because I remember having to do it for like I'm the same. I have an agency here in Australia, and I've looked at a few artists that have done tours and festivals and stuff like that. And you're like, okay, you're chasing the artist down. It's like, hey, here's your sheet. Like, fill out your sheet. What did you play? They're like, I'm hungover still. I don't know what the fuck I played.
The classic
show was good.
The classic line is just go to my Spotify and write down all my tracks.
Yeah.
But right, I'm sure that happens a lot. System. Yeah, it really is.
That never happened actually.
Yeah. It's fantastic.
So, when are we looking? You said that you're sort of getting the interest and onboarding artists and stuff, and you're looking to launch. Did you say the next 6 months? Like, what are you guys thinking for timeline? Like, should people be really getting in now to show their interest, or are we looking to lead up a little bit until you're looking for that launch?
Yeah, I mean, now's great, and so because we're using that data too, just to improve our algorithms and to get some early access and any of the kinks and features. Like we still get sometimes the feedback is like, oh yeah, there's that feedback was really, really helpful with shaping our change to this edition or this feature. So that's huge. We're planning a soft launch Q1 at the beginning of Q1. And we want to do a kind of a big launch party at South by Southwest in Austin. So
nice.
That's kind of that goal that we're aiming for. So it's looking good right now.
Yeah, it's sick.
That's it. It's always that. It's like you'll. It looks good now, and then you'll get closer and you'll be like, piecing it all together. Something's coming up, and you're like, come on, everyone. That'll be exciting. Yeah. So South by Southwest launch. It's always a good time to launch, especially something in music tech.
There'll be hype and stuff.
The whole community will be there in support. So that should be very exciting.
Yeah, we're stoked to be there and to be present. And I mean, we think that this is going to change the lives of tens of thousands of artists and a whole lot of other people on top of that. So that's what gets us excited. Our mission statement is literally to stamp out artistic poverty.
I love that.
We really think this can help do that. So.
That's a great saying. I love that.
Before we kind of wrap it up here, I was just wondering if there's anything, any projects that you have been noticing over like the last 6 months that you're keeping your eye on, whether it be something that you feel like might be touching close to what you're doing, or whether it's just something that you're like, wow, that's like really interesting in sort of the music NFT, like music industry space for Web3.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's definitely I like to see innovation for sure, but I personally have a strong preference towards a great utility. That's not just this is expensive because it's rare, but but it's tied, like what Kings of Leon did, for example, when they released NFTs that gave you basically golden tickets to get concert tickets for life and prime tickets for life. So being able to see stuff like that, I think really has really, really strong potential. That's where we want to see, like in our phase 2, we plan to actually bring in aggregate NFT marketplaces, and also have the option for people to mint NFTs on the platform that are tied to song ownership or different aspects. So say you bought 100 notes of an artist, now you get a merch discount or meet and greet passes when you at your shows. we plan to integrate NFT concert tickets and being able to make some like actually tours investable to fans. So definitely keep an eye on the projects that are doing like concert tickets and merch. One of my favorite things I've seen
utility.
One of my favorite things I've seen in this space so far is Vinyl Key, and they actually embedded an NFT with near field technology into vinyl records, and each vinyl record is actually a unique splatter pattern. So each record itself is a one of one physically, but then that picture then it's integrated into their marketplace. So when you sell like the record to someone else, then it actually transfers that ownership as an NFT as well. And I think that's just a brilliant use case. That's so cool. So I think seeing more of those kind of digital, integrations moving forward,
we love,
especially in the music space, is really cool.
We love the crossovers here.
So
as soon as if you can bring anything, like it's cool to have the tech and it's cool to have the digital collectible, but if you can kind of bring it over in something that's not just a jumper, where as you said, it's like concert tickets, real life experiences. For the bigger artists like Kings of Leon, like as you said, it's just simple. They've already made enough money. They're fine. Kings of Leon are gonna be fine, but they can do something that will help out their number one fans or people that are interested in that kind of thing, and they don't know, they can't connect with those people. So, but it's like, hey, here's the thing. You want it? We now have the ability to prove it. You can't fake it. You can't just impersonate it. It's an NFT. So we know if we've sold it to you, it's yours. But then you also have the right to not die with that. You can pass it on to your friend or your family member or someone else that just wants to buy it off you because they're richer. The NFT market definitely opens up a world. Definitely that digital experience is going to be really interesting to see expand over the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah,
and as you said, like they're perfect to integrate it all into your marketplace as well over time.
And down in Australia, you've got M8 and Moda guys from Moda DAO and M8. So it's I enjoy those guys, and they're doing some really cool stuff that I always keep tabs on what they're going and where that.
They just keep on delivering, don't they?
Yeah. They've been at it. I mean, they were some of the pioneers at it. When did they start? 4 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, we've had DAO Master Dan on. He's been on twice.
Dan's great.
He's been on twice actually. So
Dan lives. Dan lives near, like, in the same city as Jai does.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
nice.
yeah, he's in Australia. So in Brisbane. So awesome, man. Well, is there anything else that you want to talk about or promote, sort of coming up, or we just look forward to the launch? And if we're an artist, we should go and sign up if we're interested, and just sort of check out all the socials. We'll have all the links in the show notes for you as well. But thanks for coming on, man. Really enjoyed the chat, and it's good to have someone who understands the artist life and the music industry as well. So it's always great when we get people on here who have done that as well. So it's thanks for coming on, and can't wait to. I'm going to go sign up and check it all out, and see what it's all about. So pretty keen for it.
Awesome. Thank you, Jai. Thank you, Brock. It's great talking with you guys. Appreciate you having me on.